Hello everybody. Today we will be taking a look at and reviewing the possibly and most probably best set of the entire year, maybe even the best Ninjago set of all time, being LEGO Ninjago set 71866, the Ninja Character Anniversary Display. This contains 447 pieces and retails for €40. This released in January of this year and it contains one build and 8 minifigures. With that being said, let's move on to the build. Removing all the figures, you can see that this is actually the gate of the monastery, and I think this was the perfect idea for a display with all the ninja and an anniversary figure. The most iconic location of all of Ninjago. You get some pieces and bits here that are really cool, but we're going to start out with the display for the anniversary figure. This is a little display that comes in every set with an anniversary figure. You can put the Master of Lightning lever right here. Normally this has the 15th anniversary symbol, but I put it right there because you put it right like this, so you don't even see the symbol. And I thought in the center that looks cool, better than when you don't see it. But yeah, all these displays are pretty nice. And even on the inside, I put another head here because I thought it looked better. But on the inside, right here you can see the turquoise color, and every elemental master has a different color, which is a cool little Easter egg. Moving on to the main build, this is themes like these little things with a black base and golden details all throughout. Here's you can see dark green instead of light green, which I think was the perfect choice. So it looks kind of like a small swamp in my opinion. But yeah, that's much better than the light green because it fits with the monastery pretty well. You get a little cherry blossom tree. And you get this thing, which also comes in, I believe, two other sets, being the Treehouse and the Dragon of Life. This is a really cool weird building technique with the shulker piece released in, I believe, 2024. This is really cool to get. The entire set is really cool in itself. But yeah. Moving on to the stairs, you can see these are all lined up instead of this one because this is a bit more to the left, which is a cool thing they did. Here you have the gates, which can obviously open up. These are really cool made. It's just a small issue that these clash with each other if you don't do it well enough, and that's a small issue to me, but it isn't the end of the world. You can see some flower details all throughout the base of the build. Moving on to the walls, you have a really cool building technique right here with a upside down kind of rounding piece here, and then you have this round piece where it's put in and it looks really cool. They used a lot of complex building techniques in this set, which I think was really cool. You also have all of these transparent CMF pieces throughout the build. These ones. So you can put your ninjas on there, which is why it's called the anniversary display, obviously. Which is also a really cool thing to get in this set. Moving on to the back of the gates, you have some candles right here, which is also cool. You know, you don't really have a big part of the monster, just the gates and a small space right here. But probably the most interesting part of the build is the underside right here, where you have a little seating place for Master Wu and one of the ninjas. And on the back you actually have a painting of how Garmadon got defeated and sent to the underworld, which is a really cool Easter egg. It's not printed, but the budget of the set was probably stretched so thin that they couldn't even do that. You have cool rock details all throughout. It's an uneven frame, which I like. Here on the top you have a kind of archway here, that's also cool. Yeah, the gate is really good, and I think it's really good to minifigure scale. If they'd made a full version of the monastery, that would be so cool, but I don't think they will be doing that anytime soon. But with that being said, let's move on to the minifigures. Our first two figures in this amazing set are ZX Sky and ZX Sane. All of these figures are reimagined suits of their ZX suits, except Wu, which is the pilot episode suits, which I think is really cool because if they had made the season 1 suit, it would have just been a non-canon suit and that would be kinda lame. But yeah, starting with Kai, he comes with his golden sword of fire as accessory, which is obviously still the mod they use after 15 years. They've changed it one time for crystallized, but then changed it back to this. The figure itself is just like the old design, but here, for example, this was a lot smaller, this belt right here on the legs. It was just a grey ugly piece, which didn't really look like ninja. But now it has a gold trim all throughout. It ends here instead of ending right here. And you also have a printing on the hips. Then to the torso, it's a reimagined version of the original ZX Sky. I will get the figure right now, so you can compare it. Yeah, here you have a lot more of golden details, just like on the legs I said. It looks much better. You also have toe printing, which is nice. You don't have these shurikens right here, which I don't really mind because it's not that big of a detail. For the head, you just have the movie guy head, which has a smiling expression and a serious expression. The shoulder armor is just like the 2012 one, which is also really cool that they don't just make another piece or reuse, for example, the season 11 shoulder armor. That would be lame. Moving on to the back, you have the Kai symbol, which, unlike all the other anniversary ninja, doesn't align with the armor piece, which is really weird. But the back also looks really cool, and when you compare it to the original figure, yeah, you definitely have a lot more detail on the new one. Here you don't even have a gold trim. It could be because my figure is old, but it just looks much better right here. And then the new mask actually is also a new mold, which is to be expected. Instead of the golden thing right here being only this, it goes to the back just like a banana, which I think was the right choice to do because it looks better. The mold's also really cool. They made a lot of new molds for this wave, which is surprising to me. But yeah, moving on to Zane. This is also a really good representation of the old figure. I'll get the old figure right now. The old figure had the same as this, only had the brown thing right there. I don't know why they didn't do that right here, but they gave him a belt instead of that thing going right up here, which probably should have changed, but I don't mind it that much. This has been made better because this is now gray instead of white. The belt is much thicker right here, and the brown piece also looks much better. Of course, you have the original armor piece and the hood in white and gold instead of red and gold. I think this is a really cool figure, but the real parts are the face, because obviously the face isn't a city hat. I expected it to be a city hat. I wouldn't mind it if it was a city hat. But they actually made a new face print for Zane, which I think looks really cool. It looks exactly like Zane. The old one was good. I still think the old one was better, but this is a really good faithful representation of the old one. But then moving on to the back of the head, something I think no one expected. You have the battle damaged head, which is just so cool. I love that they made it like this. They haven't done this since 2016. This is the third time. And yeah, this is definitely a really good representation. And it doesn't even look like the head right here. It just looks like the old 2012 one, which is really cool. When I put this on, you probably won't think that it's the new one, because it just looks identical. But with that being said, let's move on to the two next figures. Moving on to the next two figures, we have probably the most controversial figures of this entire set, being Jay and Cole. These are also remakes of the ZX versions. Jay comes with a new mold for the nunchucks of lightning, which is really cool. It would have been better if they made this transparent blue, because that's more accurate to the show. But keeping it full cooled is probably just cooler, in my opinion. You also have the belts just like Kai and Zane here, the little thing here, which Guy also has this thing. It's not the same, it's not as apparent as the other ones, but it's still cool. This belt has some lightning patterns on it instead of the old one, which was just gray. This one is much better, definitely. The old ones didn't really have much leg printing instead of Cole. Cole really had much leg printing. Anyways, the legs look much better. Then you have the torso, which now has a silver arm instead of the light gray one the 2012 one had, which is a really good upgrade. Then this also has lightning patterns on it, the belt looks much better, and everything on this figure is much better. But the most controversial part of this figure is the golden armor. Now the original figure came with silver armor, also right here. I don't have the silver armor for him, but that's something from another time. I do think the golden armor looks cool though, and I understand why they didn't bring back the silver armor, because it was out of production for probably already more than 10 years, and it would be really expensive to bring it back. And also, probably molding right here would have been expensive to make silver, and I wanted to give the fix a golden theme, which they do on a lot of Ninjago figures, so it really isn't that special. But I still think this doesn't even look that bad, and if you don't like it, you can just paint it or something in that range. And Jay also has a new hat since the movie hat was out of production, with a really angry face, and this is probably the best Jay face from the movie they made so far. And the symbol also aligns on the back, which I still need to show. The back definitely looks better than the old one. The old one was really small, while the new one is really big. Now, moving on to the last of the original 4 Ninja, we have Cole. Cole is also a controversial figure because he doesn't have silver armor, but he still looks good with the golden armor. It's only with Jay because this is silver. If this was another color on the original figure and this would have made this gold, I don't think it would have been such a problem. Because on Cole, he doesn't have anything silver like that, so on him it looks really good. If you compare it to this one, if this had gold trims instead of silver, it would have still looked good, so that's probably why this one looks so controversially without it. But yeah, he has a new set of quakes, which every time they make a set of quakes, they just make a new one. Now it has this piece instead of some other piece they've used. I think it looks fine. I mean, the 2022 piece was probably the best one, but it should have had a handle. The golden armor, as I said, looks good. He has some golden trimming throughout this armor thing on the torso. The legs look almost identical, only the belt right here is longer on this one than on this one. You have some cool details throughout, and the hat is actually the movie hat from 2017, which is logical, they reused that. Then to the back of the torso, you obviously have the symbol and some more details. Yeah, the Cole figure definitely looks, the Cole figure looks the most reminiscent of the 2012 one. This almost looks identical if you think away some things. So Cole's is the most accurate to the 2012 one, which probably isn't the goal with these figures, but it is the case right here. But with that being said, let's move on to the next 2 Ninja. Moving on to our last 2 figures, we have Lloyd and Nia. Now, Lloyd is also a controversial figure because he doesn't have the dark pearl gray armor, but that would have even been worse to produce because it doesn't come with much figures as, for example, the silver armor would. So I get why they didn't make that as well. And gold really looks good on Lloyd since he uses probably the much of all the ninja. Instead of the old figure, you have some golden trims right here, which the old figure didn't have. At least that's what I remember, because I don't have the original figure. You also have that right here. I don't have anything to compare it to, so it's a bit hard. But it looks really good compared to the 2012 one. And also looks much better compared to the J one with the new golden trim. You also have the snake symbol right here, which is so cool. And it's really nice for me to get a GX Lloyd figure because I didn't have it prior to this. He comes with a sable sword, which I guess is fine. It's better than if they would have given him some katanas. He also reuses the movie face, which is on every figure except Jay and Zane. And that being said, let's move on to Nia. Nia is probably the least accurate one of all the figures because she uses the Tournament of Sorcerers armor piece instead of the original 2012 armor piece. And in my opinion, the armor piece should have been black, so it would have fit more with this figure. The horn should have been the same one as this. And a new face print for Nia would have been cool, but I get why they didn't do it. This old one was also, in my opinion, better. She just reuses her movie head. I do think the armor on this new figure looks much better than the old one. If you remove this. Yeah, in my opinion, the old one is still better. I don't know why, but it just looks more like a samurai instead of this one. This just looks like a ninja Nia. The back of the new one is better though. It has a more armory look to it. This one just has some bands and a symbol strap to it. So yeah, in my opinion, this torso is definitely much better. And the choice of the armor piece was definitely a good one. Since you can see the armor really cool now, that's probably the right choice to me. If they would have done this, you couldn't see the armor piece at all. The perfect accurate figure would have been this, but you can't see the armor or the torso piece, so that's not nice. Okay, moving on to the last two figures of the set, we have Master Wu and Liber, the original Master of Lightning. These are probably two of the best these are the last two figures of the set, and we're going to start out with Master Wu. Master Wu is a redesign of the pilot episode suit. It comes with a new color of staff, which is a more accurate one. He has used the normal brown one for so many years. It's really weird to see him with a new one. It does look better though. You have a small belt instead of a big belt, which is not the best because the big belt really looks cool on him. I don't have the original figure to compare it to. I'm looking to get it though. Yes, the Master Wu face from the Green Dragon that released in the summer of last year, which is really nice because it fits Master Wu more. The torso also looks really good. You have this symbol right here. I think they made the symbol less detailed than the original one. I saw it in another review, so that's a bit of a shame. But this is probably the best Master Wu figure they've released in the past 3 years, because it's just a really cool rehash of the old design. Moving on to the last figure of this set, we have the recently revealed name of Liber. This is the original Master of Lightning, aka Jay's mother. She comes with lightning as her elemental powers. And this is a perfect one-to-one of the original figure in the show. You have all these cool lightning designs all around. You have the original symbol for lightning, which is really cool. It also came on Jay from 2011 to 2017. The legs also look like a one-to-one replica of the original figure. The back is cool too with the lightning designs. The belt right here is a cool thing too. The black design for a Master of Lightning is definitely cool. At least, it's a bit of a shame that Jay doesn't get darker designs, because he looks really cool. The evil Jay had this, and that's probably the best Jay in recent years. She reuses a city face. This is the same one as Camille from the city markets. Another face piece would have been better, but I guess this works fine. So, with all of the figures having been looked at, let's get to my final thoughts on the set. So, what are my final thoughts on the set? This set is definitely a 10 out of 10. You get 8 figures for only 40 euros. I got this for 34 euros. You get all of the original Ninja, an exclusive Elemental Master, and Master Wu in a pilot suit. The build is phenomenal. You get all the little cool Easter eggs and details throughout. So if you see this in a store, buy it for full price. It's just the best junk set ever made, probably. With that being said, let's end the video. Bye.